I think just before Rory decided to attack me, I was talking about my love of design things. And basically my Josh love for that section was very much just about having a brain crush on him, because just knitting this 11th hour pattern, 11th hour, just kind of got me going, oh wow, this is a good idea, and oh, this is clever, and oh, I really like how you've done this, and oh, look how it works out, oh, isn't this really good? Now it could just be because I've only ever knit one other shawl before, and that was the most basic one, and I cocked it up a bit. That it's basic shawl construction and it's not that special and it's just new to me and I'm all excited. Or, and this is the one I'm going for, it could be that Josh is a really good designer. But if nothing else, what I really like about this design is the fact that it's a-gendered. As in there is no gender, it's neither a masculine nor a feminine, it's just a really simple, almost geometric pattern shawl, and I really like it. But yeah, so love, 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 really, really happy with this, and because I'm making it out of merino and baby alpaca and BFL, I'm thinking I'm just going to wrap my face in it and roll around on the floor going when I've made it. I have no idea what that face looks like because I closed my eyes, but apologies if that was traumatic. And so I made crochet socks. Yay! Now, because I'd forgotten about these, I didn't retrieve the pattern for these ones. It will be a free pattern because I was just looking for something simple and straightforward. It's called the Ultimate Crochet Sock. I thought, yeah, okay, I'll try that. And I spent a long time trying to get it to fit, and it fit, and now they've come out of the wash. They've gone really baggy. Like, my sock blocker ends here, and here and here, so I don't know why they've got bigger in the wash. Is that a thing? Is that a crochet thing? I always thought knitting shrank. Does crochet get bigger in the wash? So they're now like huge. A sock blocker is dwarfed by them. So I'm going to hang these up to dry and then I'll try them on and then I'll see what the situation is. But these may well have become house socks or bed socks. Which is slightly upsetting, but they're awesome and it's a learning process. But there you go, for the people that wonder if I do crochet as well, I do. There is crochet for you. So that's extended single crochet stitch all the way through there, with some single crochet heel and toe work and a bit of a gusset going on, and fake ribbing with your front and back post double crochets. And this time I double checked whether the pattern was English or American and used the appropriate terms. So in this case it was American. So single and double, I got them right this time. Okay, that is all of my projects. So I can move on from the second section of my podcast to Stash Love. And at least one person, which means one person, said they really like this, so I'm doing it again. Just for you! You can fast forward if you don't like this bit. But last week was fingering weight, 4-ply, and so today is DK. And I was like, right, I'll ferret through my stash first of all, do a bit of prep, and pull out the ones I think are worth showing, and it's almost my entire DK stash. But what are you going to do? So we'll just go through them quickly. Lush. So this is a yarn by Noro. Now if you don't know Noro, they are Japanese and where have you been? They are amazeballs. It's not the cheapest Noro, it's definitely a bit more fancy. It's not scratchy, but it's not like And this blend is 60% wool, 30% cashmere, 10% nylon. It's called Cash Island, which I quite like. I think that's kind of a cool name. So you'd think, I mean, it's not at all scratchy, and I think the cashmere is really working in that sense. But you'd think for something 30% cashmere, it'd be super, super soft. But I think the wool they use is just whatever sort of generic wools they've got, rather than anything like merino. I could be wrong, because the label's mostly in Japanese. So there we go, purple, brown, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. 30% cashmere. It's only 50 grams, so it's only something like 50 meters or something. No, 125 meters. Sorry, because it is a sort of a DK weight. But that's like enough for like maybe one sock or something. So I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe a really like the scarves I made out of the Manos del Uruguay silk blend. Maybe something like that. It's perfectly fine on the neck. Yeah, absolutely fine. The cashmere is really doing its job. So Manos del Uruguay is the Hands of Uruguay, a non-profit organisation which assembles women in cooperatives scattered throughout the countryside of Uruguay. The aim of the organisation is to bring economic and social opportunities to rural women. So I think I mentioned something similar when I did my 4-ply thing about how some yarns are... Oh, excuse me. Yarn dust. How some yarns kind of seem to come from these kind of cooperatives or what have you. They're kind of social enterprise type things. And Manos del Uruguay is one of those, so I really like them for that. It's also superfine merino and 30% silk, and it's gorgeous colours. So quite frankly, what is not to love? I've made 2 scarves out of the other 2 skeins of this that I had. I don't think I'm going to make the scarf one out of this just because you can see red on my face. Moving on, I have another wild wood wool. I think, oh, is that right? Yes, Jan and Cecilia from near Penrith. Yes, it just doesn't say wild wood wool on this one for some reason. So this is a rainbow hand-dyed yarn. It's a bit of an odd rainbow. The colours are coming out right, I think. I've sort of made efforts I tested earlier to try and make sure colours come out okay. So it's not rainbowy rainbow, it's kind of a, I called it peach rainbow. This is a tag, sorry, I'll let it see the tag there. But it's a decent, it's BFL with mohair, which apparently has a longer staple, someone was saying, one of their podcasts, which gives it extra strength. So it's like a natural nylon, so it'll be really robust. Yay! But also mohair apparently can cause aggravation for some people. But for me, although it's clearly not just BFL because there is a scratchiness to it that I wouldn't expect from BFL, it's alright. I really like the kind of, it's not just rainbow, which is a little bit too either, hi, I'm gay, or I'm a 7-year-old girl. I'm not entirely sure which. I recognise that we do not own the rainbow is for everybody, but you know, I make my statements in my own way, thank you very much. And so I like this for being multicoloured and having some different colours in it without being a bit too garish, for me. This again is a kind of a nice colourways. Again, it's a bit muted. I'm still a muted kind of colours. It's got my orange in there because, quite frankly, who wouldn't have orange in there? Well, more to the point, I have orange in it pretty much everything I want. If not orange, then obviously green, blue and brown because they're my backup colours. So yes, as you can see, this is a Louisa Harding and I think it's Amitola. Yeah, it's 80% wool, 20% silk, so it's quite luxurious. The wool is not particularly non-scratchy, but it's squishy. It doesn't really itch, but I can feel that little prickle, a bit like with the mohair, and the other one there's just that little prickle, even through the beard and stuff, where it's slightly thinner. And I'm really fussy. If something's got a bit of prickle, I just won't wear it. I didn't used to wear wool at all. But absolutely lovely. I really like the colours. It is luxurious, but this again was a single skein, oh that's pretty, I'll try that kind of purchase. So again, no idea. A lot of what I've got at the moment in my stash is I don't know what I want to do with it because I went round Woolfest and went insane. So this is a Debbie Bliss, excuse me, Andy's, sort of half a burp wanted to come out there, I'm so sorry. This is 65% baby alpaca. Which is what the topaz is in my shawl that I'm making. 35% mulberry silk, so not just silk, but mulberry silk. So posh is the word you're looking for here. However, the colour, I wonder if it's a bit shiny, but when I looked at the browns when I first filmed, they looked wrong, and when I watched them on the video and I did a test, I think they came through okay, so hopefully this comes through okay for you guys. It is kind of a peachy pinky puce kind of a colour, which is not my first choice. Well, I really like the yarn, so I was like, I've got to work it out. This little beauty doesn't have a label. I think I got it from Knitting for Fun. It was a stall. They're a website, knitting number 4 fun and .co.uk. I think that's right. And they had a stall at Woolfest, and they had lots of fun things. And it's a wool with bamboo and silk. I really like bamboo. I love a little bit of silk. I think it's quite fun and it gives it a different feel. And then it's just nice plain wool, but the bamboo and silk in it mean that there's no scratchiness at all. It's absolutely lovely, and is a lovely blue with a kind of a slightly peachy orange again, but blue and orange, tones of blue, tones of the peachy orange, absolutely lovely. But this is lush, and again, it's another one I have no idea what to do with. Yeah, there's more. So this one is upside down. And back to front for me, but upside down for you. Smiley stripes! So this, I think this one's, it's a Serda, but this one is 80% bamboo, sourced viscose it says, because yeah, you know, it's not just bamboo stripped into thin shreds, it's processed. And 20% wool, again, it just says wool. But it's, like I said, I love bamboo. I really just loved the fun, like it's a little 50-gram ball, so it's only 100 metres, 104 yards, 95 metres, but it's really fun. And I just thought, okay, that'll work for me in a little project or something. I'm sitting back because my back's aching from being right up in your face. So yeah, and again, it's another one, I don't know what to do with it, but it's mostly bamboo, and I knit, my first pair of successful socks that I knit was bamboo. They're hanging on the line now at the moment, actually. So I was like, I fell in love with bamboo at that point, and it's not a common thing to find. So I tend to sort of, that was enough of a reason to get it, plus it was on sale and it was pretty, and it was green and blue, my colours. But I'm not sure what I'll do with it. It might be a feature yarn in something bigger, or who knows. There's 3 more, just 3 more, guys. I'll just lean over and grab them. This one was quite fun because it was labelled as microfiber. I don't really know what that means, but I made a pair of gloves out of it a few winters ago, and it was amazing. They're on my Ravelry project page, you can see them in front of the snow. They're brilliant. It's really thin. It doesn't even look like DK to me. I think that looks really thin, but it plumps quite nicely. It's quite soft feeling, in the sense you can kind of feel the yarn itself is squishy, and kind of cool. And then I've saved for last, just because it's a recent little purchase and I paid full price for this at the little local yarn store, because I've realised this is my inspiration yarn. So I'll let you see the colours. Boing. So yes, obviously lots of orange, blues, greens, browns. It's basically my colourway. But what I absolutely love, and I'm seeing this in a lot of hand spun stuff now, I'm watching more and more podcasts, is the way you can see the yarn is 2-ply in terms, I don't know if the different plies have plies within them, but there's 2 plies and it's like 2 colours. Now I'm assuming with all the colour variation, although I haven't double checked this by sort of pulling it out in a Swift, but I assume that the 2 separate plies have are gradient, or either that or they're just cut off and it's another colour suddenly, because you've got more than just 2 colours plying around each other. But I absolutely love it. I was just blown away at the idea of it. I just saw it and was like, oh my god, that is amazing. So I paid full price, which, you know, for a 50-gram ball was something like £6. So not cheap, but not massively expensive either. Can you focus on that camera? There we go. Rowan Summer Spun. It got there eventually. But just this tangle of colours is, I mean, I don't know if I want to knit with it, just because I think the ball of yarn is so beautiful. I mean, obviously I do want to knit with it, but I want to know how to knit with it, because some of the things I've seen hand spunners talk about, or heard them talk about, is muddying the colour. So there's something about muddying the colour with how you knit with it. Now, if I ball it up and find that it's maybe one patch of sort of yellow and brown for a length of time, and then a little patch of, oh, actually, yeah, here's a transition from blue and brown to yellow and sort of orange. So yes, it's sort of gradient slightly over not too long a distance. Whether it does that fairly quickly, like this, or whether it's quite a slow gradient, like this sock, which I've taken off the sock blockers now, because I've got the wet ones on them. So I'm not really sure what to do with this. So if you know, if you've played around with this kind of yarn before and you know like good advice on what to do with this kind of yarn, please let me know, because I really, really, really want to be able to do something with this that really brings out the best in the yarn, rather than just turns it into a muddle of colour like it is sort of, if I hold it back here, you don't get what I can see, I don't think. Even with a HD camera, I imagine you're not going to get the spiralling and all these different spits of colour in it. Spits of colour. I'm sure there's a nicer term for that. Anyway, that is my stash love section done. I do love my yarns. And I figure I bought all this, I'm not going to do any stash enhancement for a while. So I might as well do stash love. And I probably could have split that over 2 podcasts. What are you going to do? I like talking. So, having done that, it's into a shout out time. So, first of all, I watched a couple of podcasts recently where I got some love, and I was like, oh my god, people actually mentioned my podcast, my little podcast. I was super, super, super touched. One was Sam from Come Knit With Us, and Kimmy left me a little comment as well when I commented on theirs to say, I love you guys, and I was waving back when they waved at me. I got so excited. And another one was somebody who I kind of had spotted through following podcasts. And I just watched her podcast. I was catching up, watching the latest podcast from everyone I've recorded, everyone I've subscribed to, and she shouted me out, and I was like, oh my god! And that is Helen, Sprite966 from up in Scotland. Again, I apologise. I don't have a good Scottish accent, but I do love to try. And it will invariably warp itself into something else if I keep doing it. But Helen, Sprite966. Sprite like the drink or the gnome, 966 numerals. So yeah, and Helen did, as well as all the knitting stuff, she did Scottish words. That was really bad, sorry. Scottish words. But yeah, and what was really cool was some of the words that she said, I was like, ah, I use them. So I don't know if that's just because they are Scottish original, like Scottish, Scots Gaelic words type things that have filtered down to the Midlands, which does exist, people. There is the North, the South, and in between the two there is the Midlands. And then there were some really, really cool ones that I'd never heard of. And what I loved was there's some that she didn't know what they were. She was like, oh, I don't recognise this one. I was like, yay, go for it. But that was really cool. So yeah, local slang words. That's another cool idea. So go check hers out and learn about Scottish words. I should just stop now. Moving on. I needed to do a massive, massive, massive thank you. I did say this at the beginning to everybody that's been commenting and stuff, but I got loads and loads of podcast suggestions, which is brilliant. I've been running around subscribing left, right and centre. A few people went a little step further and did a meta podcast suggestion, which has turned out to be just overwhelming. So I'm going to work my way through it soon. But I'm busy watching all the podcasts I've already had a sort of individual recommendations for. But this is a recommendation for a website that collates loads and loads of knitting podcasts. So it's called, funnily enough, knittingpodcast.blogspot.co.uk, and it's basically a massive long list of podcasts, and they try and show you podcasts, they try and seem to archive the ones that are no longer active, So you can check out historic ones if you're interested, but they're still listed, but they're not. They're in a separate section. And then they have audio versus video, which is awesome because I'm totally a video person. But there's loads in there. Looked like there was maybe 30, 40, 50 more podcasts. I will work my way through them eventually, all linked up and everything. I've said thank you, and I'll say it again and again and again and again. Guys, I cannot emphasize how much I have been touched by all the love I've got for my last podcast. Instagram love has been amazing anyway. When I joined Instagram and started to really link with other knitters, everyone has been really, really friendly. I'm just making so many friends online, and you guys have been super, super awesome. But it's really, really touched me, just how much love I've got so quickly. And yeah, so getting a bit emotional here, so I'll move on. Two more things I want to cover. One was some more podcast love. And today's category is male podcasters! Yay! I've done here male only podcasters, so solo male podcasters. I've not yet seen a two men podcast. That would be really cool. But it seems that couple podcasts or friend podcasts is either married couples or female friends, as far as I can tell. So yeah, a single guy is rare enough on its own, never mind a duo of knitter guys doing a podcast, which could be kind of cool. I don't know, maybe there's something down the line in I was just suddenly thinking there's friends that do video conferencing podcasts. So yeah, guys, we could do like a video conferencing podcast. Like there's one of them's a hangout, and you could do multiple people on a hangout. So we could do like a men podcast, and you know, maybe do like a really short one that's just like I don't know, FOs or progress since the last one or something like that, and a bit of just very quickly something that's happened to you or something like that, and we could all chip in. It'd be really cool because it'd be like the men of Ravelry or something. I don't know, I just literally thought of that. How cool would that be? Hit me up! But there's 6 podcasts that I'm following that have a guy hosting. Obviously there's me, but that goes without saying. So there is Ross from Smells Like Yarn. The name is because he also does scents. So he mentions a few scent things that he's got a little scents shop, but his podcast is mostly about knitting. So if you're worried about that, it's mostly knitting stuff. And I watched his episode 19, so I want to watch episode 20 next. I'm going to watch that pretty quick. And I've had people say they found me through Ross, which is awesome. So I don't know if he shouts me out in episode 20, maybe? I'll find out. He might be another thank you next week. Or if it's just through Instagram, I know that he chatted with me on Instagram a little bit to go, oh yes, hi, another male podcaster type thing. But yeah, so let's move this along, James. Lucas from Crochet, which he has just released, I think, another proper full-length one. The first one of his I saw was a sort of a quick one he recorded on the YouTube video capture. But I've watched another one of his. I think I only got to see half of it or something, and then I got called away to do something or what have you. But big thumbs up for Lucas as well. Ken, the turbo knitter. Now bless him, Ken is somebody that I just came across as he had a big health scare and was in the hospital. So everyone's going, oh my god, no, no, no. But it meant I got to find out about him. And he seems to be back in podcasting again. Yay! And loads of people. He was somebody that got loads and loads of recommendations. So he's been getting loads of love from people. So he must be good. The Turbo Knitter. And that's Ken or Kenneth doing that one. Good guy. And I do like his stuff. So I recommend him as well. Another Josh. This is a different Josh. Who does Dairyland Knits. His handle online is Auricula82. I think that's Instagram and stuff. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but I remember him saying Auricula is his favourite kind of flower. And if 82 is like his date of birth, then, or year of birth, then we are a very similar age. I'm 81. And actually I'm finding a lot of people seem to be my age. So clearly, this is the other thing, that you get to my age and suddenly you want to make knitting podcasts. Obviously not everyone is my age, but... there just seem to be a good bunch of us. Or I'm just noticing people who are my age. Confirmation bias, people. Look it up. So Josh from Dairyland knits. Another really cool one. Yay, Josh. Now there's an honorary one. I say this because this is FO and die. FO and die. Work out the pun, guys. Finished objects and die, DYE. So if you want to look for it, it's FO, finished objects, and DYE. Obviously everything's going to be linked below anyway, so you know, don't stress it. But I've given Dave the benefit of the doubt on this one because he's on episode 3 and I think he's doing episode 4 at the moment, or it's about to come out very soon. And in episode 4, his missus makes a return. But she was in episode 1, but then not episodes 2 and 3. So when I saw him in episode 2 and then 3, I've only seen him host. So I'm like, yeah, Dave, another guy podcasting. And that's to do with Ellie's health and what have you, and he talks a bit about that. So I don't need to. But he gets honorary membership in the male solo podcasting team. And then maybe when I do a married couples or something, he'll get another mention if Ellie's back more frequently. But fingers crossed, best wishes for Ellie as well. And Ken, best wishes for him. I don't think I actually said that earlier. So, and Dan, I have to do it, Dan, I have to do it. Dan's little symbol from Come Knit With Us. At first, I thought they were doing the heart and just getting it wrong. And then I realised they weren't. so I have my little version of it, guys, which is... Dee-dee, dee-dee, see? See how it works? Gotta love them, guys. And if you are up to date with the Bakery Bears podcast and Dan's situation, then, guys, I hope you're checking. Yeah? Serious note? I hope you're checking. And then finally, last but not least, the last of my Josh love for this podcast is obviously Josh also has a podcast, Sort of a Knitter has a podcast and he hosts on his own, so he comes under male solo podcasters. So yes, so there's 6 men only solo podcasts there, plus mine makes 7. If you know of any more or just any other awesome podcasts, do recommend podcasts for me still and do shout outs. Like I said, knittingpodcast.blogspot.co.uk has loads and I will go through there, so if there's any more that I love, I will pick them up in the groups, and then if there's any that I miss in my shout outs over time, I will get you. If I'm subscribed to you, I will find you, and if you recommend me to your podcast or to someone else's podcast, I will subscribe, so everyone's going to get a shout out in time. So I have one last thing to add, and I say this to last just because it's a bit of nerdery. It's related to Ravelry rather than knitting, and if you have had enough and you're not into nerdery, then fine. But I was on the Ravelry front page a while ago, and I just happened to notice 5,684 people are using Ravelry right now, or online, and I was like, bloody hell, isn't that cool? There's like 5,500 people on Ravelry, just logged in to Ravelry. There's like millions of users on Ravelry. Millions. And at that moment in time that I looked, which was was this Saturday, Sunday afternoon? No, it would have been later than that, this week, maybe Monday afternoon. Could even have been yesterday. And I was like, oh, it's underlined. Click. Yeah, it does actually link. And it gives you a little coloured in map with different densities of green for densities of viewers. Cool. And it gives you the countries and the number of people logged in from that country at the moment, which I'm assuming is either done by the country that you declare to be from or from your IP's addressing, because you can always locate sort of the country level that an IP address has come from. I don't know which one they use, but they had a list. And the top 4 were the US, then Germany, then Canada, then the UK. The UK had about 250, and then it dropped quite quickly after that to like 80 something in Finland, and then and it kind of pootled off, and then there were lots and lots and lots, and it's actually quite cool to look at the countries with like 1 or 2 people in. It's like there were 2 people from Serbia. And I was like, yes, come on Serbia, knit your way to success. heal the wounds of the past through knitting. And like Saudi Arabia, one person from Saudi Arabia on Ravelry. I'm like, even with all the stress and all the crap going on in the Middle East, people still knit, you know? I mean, obviously Saudi Arabia, oh, I've got this right now. Saudi Arabia isn't one of the countries that's in turmoil. It's Syria. That's one of the ones. My geography isn't great, I've said this before, but when I was learning Arabic, I did study a little bit, like for one lesson, the geography of that area. So I've got a slightly better idea of how they all fit together and roughly where they are. But I'm a bit like with America and trying to identify where states are. I'm like, well, I know New York and Washington DC and Florida and Texas and California. And is it Utah or Pennsylvania? That's top left. I kind of ish know the corners, not quite. And obviously like Hawaii. You can do that one. Anyway, rewind, get back to the point. When I was looking at these, there were like 2,500 people under US, and then Germany, Canada were 300 and something, and UK 200 and something 50. And I was like, that's a big gap. Now part of that could just be Ravelry is sort of a US site. Social media, maybe the US has more of a propensity to do this kind of thing, like social media sites and networking sites for things like this. You know, I think a lot of knitters in the UK aren't necessarily Ravelry aware. We have a lot of knitters in the UK, but they aren't necessarily all Ravelry aware, so we're not getting the representation. Another thing might have been the time of day. I tried to think about that. Like I thought it was like 4 in the afternoon, which meant it would be somewhere between 11 AM and 8 AM or something. So maybe it's people's morning Ravelry check at work or before work, I don't know. But I thought, the US is a heck of a lot bigger than the UK, yeah? By orders of magnitude. So let's do a population check. And I was like, quick check on Wikipedia. So I pulled the numbers off, put them in a spreadsheet, pulled off Wikipedia's numbers, put them in the spreadsheet, did a little ratio thing to kind of standardize them a bit. So basically, if Canada's population was 1 population unit, then how many population units was the UK, was Germany, was America? Because Canada actually had the lowest population, smaller population than the UK. You guys are spread out. I did not realise this. Like I knew Canada was big and that you guys didn't live in most of it, but Canada is huge and your population is like 2/3 of the UK's. Blimey. So like, yeah, let's all go to Canada, guys. There's loads of room. And Canada must be lovely. Canada is one of the places I really, really want to visit because they don't have the death penalty, I don't think. And they are much better at being gay friendly than America. America has death penalties in places and are really not so gay friendly in places. So, boo. Whereas Canada, yay on both. Canada rocks, yeah man. I can't do a Canadian accent. I just think American accent and then think of the programs where Americans are taking the piss out of the Mickey, out of the... Do you guys understand that? Is that a British thing? You guys get that right? Yeah, made fun of, there we go. The Canadian accent, so it's like oot. But I have heard, I think, one Canadian podcaster talking, I think they were Canadian, and there was a slight twang in the O. Oh, it's the one with the 3 women in it. And there's only ever 2 on camera, and one was off to the side. Or maybe that was just for the one video podcast that I've watched so far, but one person was off. Anyway, one of them sounded ever so slightly Canadian, or I think she was Canadian. I think she talked about being from Canada or having been from Canada or something like that. Because it didn't all seem to be American dwellers. I kind of didn't quite catch it, I'm not sure. But anyway, there was a little bit of a oot, 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 oot came through. It was supposed to out or out. Oat. And I was like, ooh, maybe that's Canadian. So, you know, I'll learn. I really won't, but I do love it. But yes, anyway, to get to the point again, no wonder these things last so long. According to standardised by population, so number of people on ratio per capita kind of deal. Do you guys get me? I hope you guys get me. Anyway, when standardised by population, the winner was Canada. Oddly enough. such a small population that actually, although they only had 360 something people and they were like third in terms of total number of people, there's so few people in Canada that as a proportion of their population, they win. So Canada loves knitting. This is what I learned from this. Second came the US still. So okay, it's not just because you guys have got loads of you over there. It's also because a load of you are on Ravelry. I still, I can't standardise for whether it's just because Americans love going online more than say Europeans. So maybe US and Canada is higher because you guys like being on Ravelry compared to Europeans. I'm not sure. I don't know how I'd do statistics on that, like social media engagement or something. There must be something about that, but I wasn't going to go that far. Third came Germany, and then the UK was still in fourth. So actually, UK-wise, it's a bit like in sporting events. We didn't get a bronze medal, but we're not at the bottom, as opposed to Eurovision, when we usually are. But that's because everyone in Europe hates the UK, because we basically don't think of ourselves as part of the UK, and we piss all over the UK, and we're like, no, we don't want to have to do all these things that you guys have to do. We want to do our own thing, but we'll take the best bits of the European Union, but we'll get rid of the worst bits. It's like, are we European? Are we not? This country does not seem to be able to decide. And there's even talk of leaving the EU by not diddy parties. So, we come fourth anyway, which isn't bad. Go UK. Knitting, solid representation there. But yeah, Germany, US and Canada, which actually doesn't surprise me because I see a lot of German knitters on Instagram. So Stricken over in Deutschland is clearly pretty popular. Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, aber nicht so much. So you see, I can't even say a whole sentence. I did do German at school, but that was... Basically, I stopped more than half my life ago. But yeah, and I thought that was kind of cool. I did a little population check. So, that is everything I've got down for episode 2. I'm going to go and stop recording. I'm going to go and see how long this is. And if it is super, super long, I apologise. And thank you for sticking it out. And I hope whatever you're knitting to this, your super boring knits perhaps, and using me to get you through them, I hope you've got lots of progress therefore. But if it is over an hour and a half, certainly, then I won't do that again. I might even edit it down. And I wanted to do a shorter one, so I would like to know. There are some longer ones out there, and I know that I talk a lot, and I might run out of things to say because I've got some sort of stuff that's not going to renew itself really. Once I've done all my stash, all my shout outs and podcasts, I'll have less to do, so maybe the podcast will shrink over time. But if you guys think actually it'd be nicer to have a shorter podcast, I don't think, well, I don't know, like I could do a really short one in like half an hour. I was thinking more like maybe an hour long one. That seems to be a fairly standard time. Certainly would eat up less of my day if I did a shorter podcast, because I have to then go and load this to the computer and do the edits and stuff. But yeah, again, let me know, feedback. You guys have said you loved the other one, that was an hour and a half, so maybe that's cool. Maybe you guys want more that length. But yeah, I just would love to know. If you guys are just happy with this and you don't want me to change, just you can just say that, don't change, and that'll let me know. But I feel like they're a bit long and that might be off-putting. So yeah, sometimes like the short ones, I really like that. So right, I'm going to shut up now. Guys, thank you for watching this again, assuming anyone has. Big love to all my podcasting friends, big love to all the comments. I will see you in the Ravelry group, which is new, and on Facebook and Twitter and all of this. Yeah, basically, not really Facebook so much, rather Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram and Ravelry. That's enough, right? Love you guys. Bye.